The Galactic Council citadel floated in space like a crown of silver and gold. It orbited Zenthar Prime, the most beautiful planet in the known galaxy. The citadel had stood for 50,000 years, a symbol of power and order. Inside its massive halls, representatives from 600 species made decisions that affected trillions of lives across the stars. Ambassador Marcus Chen walked through the gleaming corridors with heavy steps. He was a human, and humans were not welcome here. Not really. The other species looked at him with cold eyes or did not look at him at all. After 80 years of asking, humanity still had no real voice in the council. They called Earth's people a probationary species, which was just a polite way of saying they did not matter. Marcus entered the grand chamber where the council was meeting. The room was enormous, with seats rising in circles all around. Hundreds of alien beings sat in their places. Some had wings, some had scales, some looked like giant insects. At the center sat High Arbiter Kelthrin, a bird-like creature with brilliant blue feathers and eyes that seemed to pierce through everything. "The human wishes to speak," Kelthrin announced, his voice dripping with boredom. A few counselors laughed. The sound echoed through the chamber. Marcus stepped forward. His heart pounded, but he kept his face calm. "Honored council members, I come again to request full membership for humanity. We have followed every rule you set. We have stayed in our 12 permitted systems. Our fleet has never exceeded 200 ships. We have proven ourselves peaceful and cooperative." Councillor Vrix rose from his seat. He was an insectoid, with 4 arms and compound eyes that glittered in the light. "Peaceful? We have reports that humans have been researching forbidden technologies, dark matter manipulation to be specific." The chamber erupted in angry buzzing and clicking. Dark matter technology was strictly banned by council law. Only the council itself could research such dangerous fields. Marcus felt cold. "I know nothing of this. If there have been violations, they are not sanctioned by Earth's government." "Lies," Vrix hissed. "Your species is ambitious and reckless. You have existed for only a few thousand years. Children playing with fire." High Arbiter Kelthrin raised one wing. The chamber fell silent. "The council has made a decision. An investigation team was sent to your research stations. They found evidence of dark matter experiments. This is a severe violation of galactic law." "Please," Marcus said, his voice steady despite the fear rising in his chest. "Let us explain. Give us a chance to present evidence to defend ourselves." Kelthrin's eyes showed no mercy. "The council has discussed this matter for 3 days. We have reached a conclusion. Humanity has proven itself dangerous and untrustworthy. Your species will be sterilized." The word hung in the air like poison. Sterilized, it meant the council would destroy humanity's ability to reproduce, to grow, to exist. It was a death sentence delivered slowly. "You cannot do this," Marcus whispered. "We are a civilization of 30 billion souls. Innocent people who have done nothing wrong." "Your innocence ended when you broke our laws," Kelthrin replied. "We have maintained galactic peace for 50,000 years. We do what must be done. A council armada of 5,000 ships is already en route to Earth. They will arrive in 6 days. You may use this time to prepare your people." Marcus felt the world spinning. 6 days. 5,000 ships against humanity's 200. It was not a battle. It was an execution. "We have families," Marcus pleaded, abandoning dignity. "Children, artists and scientists and farmers. People who only want to live in peace." "Then you should have followed our laws," Vrix said with satisfaction. "Consider this a lesson to other young species. The council's rules exist for a reason." Other council members nodded. Some looked uncomfortable but said nothing. Fear kept them silent. Fear of being next. Fear of standing against the power that had ruled the galaxy for longer than most of their civilizations had existed. Marcus turned and walked from the chamber. No one stopped him. No one said goodbye. He was already a ghost to them, a representative of a dead species. In his small quarters on the Citadel, Marcus sat alone for a long time. Then he activated his encrypted communicator. The device was hidden inside what looked like an ordinary data pad. He typed a simple message: "They're coming. Contingency exodus is authorized." He sent it to a location that officially did not exist, a military command center buried deep inside Mars, hidden from all council sensors. Marcus did not know exactly what contingency exodus meant. He had been briefed only partially, told that Earth had secrets, preparations for a day like this. He had thought it was just paranoia. Now he prayed it was real. On the other side of the galaxy, Admiral Helena Voss received the message. She sat in a command center carved from Martian rock, surrounded by holographic displays showing star charts and ship positions. She was 56 years old with gray hair and eyes that had seen too much. When she read Marcus's message, she did not hesitate. "All stations, this is Admiral Voss," she said into her communicator. "Authorization code Omega Black 7. Activate the dark matter fleet. This is not a drill. The Council has declared war on humanity. Across the solar system and beyond, in the cold darkness of the Oort cloud, and in hidden shipyards scattered through deep space, lights began to glow. Massive ships powered up, their engines humming with energy that conventional sensors could not detect. These vessels had been built in absolute secrecy over 60 years. They used technology that should not exist, that humanity had discovered by accident and kept hidden from the Council. 147 ships. The Council had no idea they existed. The galaxy had no idea what humans had built while pretending to be weak and obedient. Captain James Torres stood on the bridge of the HDMS Defiant, the flagship of the secret fleet. His crew worked at their stations with practiced efficiency. They had trained for years for a day they hoped would never come. "Captain," his tactical officer reported, "we're detecting the Council Armada. They'll reach Earth in 6 days, just as they said." "Then we have 6 days to prepare," Torres replied. "But we do not wait for them to attack. We let them come. We let them think they have already won." The Council ships traveled through space with confidence. 5,000 vessels, the largest armada assembled in a century. They expected no resistance. Humans had only 200 ships, primitive weapons, old technology. This would be quick and clean. They had no idea they were flying into a trap. They could not imagine that humanity had spent 60 years preparing for this exact moment. The Council had ruled through fear and power for so long that they had forgotten an important truth. The most dangerous enemy is the one you underestimate. High Arbiter Kelthrin sat in his private chambers on the Citadel, drinking a rare wine from his homeworld. He felt satisfied. Order would be maintained. The humans would serve as an example. Other species would remember not to challenge the Council's authority. He had no idea that he had just made the greatest mistake of his long life. He had given humanity no choice but to reveal what they had become. And when cornered animals fight, they fight with everything they have. The countdown had begun. 6 days until the Council would learn that humanity was not prey. 6 days until the galaxy would change forever. Admiral Helena Voss stood before a massive screen showing the solar system. Red dots marked the approaching Council Armada, now only 2 days away from Earth. Blue dots showed humanity's official fleet, 200 ships that the Council knew about. But there were other dots on her private display, purple ones that only she and a handful of people could see. 147 ships hiding in the darkness, invisible to every sensor the Council possessed. "How did we get here?" asked Dr. Sarah Okonkwo, walking up beside the Admiral. She was the lead physicist who had made all of this possible, a brilliant woman from Nigeria who had unlocked secrets the universe had kept hidden for billions of years. Voss remembered the day, 62 years ago, when Sarah had burst into the research lab with wild eyes and trembling hands. She had been studying dark matter, trying to understand the invisible substance that made up most of the universe. Everyone knew dark matter existed, but no one could touch it or use it. Sarah had found a way. It started with an accident. A quantum fluctuation in her experiment had created a tiny bubble, where normal matter and dark matter could interact. She had expanded that bubble, controlled it, shaped it. Within 5 years, human scientists had built the first dark matter engine. Within 10, they had learned to create shields that phased partially out of normal space. Within 20 years, they had weapons that could pass through conventional defenses like they did not exist. Earth's governments had faced a choice: reveal this technology to the Council and face immediate suppression, or hide it and prepare. They chose to hide it. They built shipyards in the Oort cloud where no one ever looked. They used automated construction so fewer people would know. They created the dark matter fleet in absolute secrecy. "We got here because they gave us no choice," Voss finally answered. "They kept us weak on purpose. They feared what we might become. On Earth, people watched the sky and waited. They knew the Council ships were coming. Evacuation shuttles ferried millions to underground shelters, but there was not enough room for everyone. 30 billion people could not hide. Most stayed in their homes, holding their families, praying for a miracle. In orbit, Captain James Torres reviewed his orders one final time. The plan was dangerous and required perfect timing. Humanity's official fleet would engage the Council Armada first. They would fight and die, making the Council believe they had already won. Then when the Council began their bombardment of Earth, the dark matter fleet would reveal itself. "It feels wrong," Torres said to his first officer, "letting our own ships die like that." "They volunteered," his officer replied quietly. "Every captain in the regular fleet knows the plan. They're buying us the element of surprise." Torres nodded, but the weight sat heavy on his shoulders. 200 ships, 30,000 crew members. All of them had families waiting below. All of them understood they were humanity's sacrifice play. The Council Armada arrived exactly when predicted. 5,000 ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. They were beautiful in a terrible way. Massive vessels bristling with weapons that could crack planets. At their lead was a dreadnought commanded by Admiral Thexcal, a reptilian commander who had served the Council for 300 years. "Scan the system," Thexcal ordered. His scaled face showed satisfaction. "Show me what these primitives dare to oppose us with." 200 ships detected, his tactical officer reported. Old designs, weak shielding, conventional weapons. "They're forming a defensive line around Earth." Thexcal laughed, a hissing sound that made his crew uncomfortable. 200 against 5,000. Do they think this is bravery or stupidity? On the bridge of the human flagship Resolution, Captain Maria Santos took a deep breath. She was 42 years old and had never expected to die today. She had a daughter in college in Brazil and a husband who taught history. She would never see them again. "All ships, this is Santos," she broadcast to the human fleet. "Today we prove that humanity does not surrender. We show our children that we fight for them no matter the odds. For Earth, for freedom, for our future." The response was immediate. 200 voices speaking as one. "For Earth." The human fleet accelerated toward the Council Armada. Every captain knew they could not win. But they could buy time. They could make the Council bleed a little. They could show that humanity did not go quietly into the darkness. The battle was brutal and short. Human weapons struck Council shields and barely scratched them. Council weapons tore through human ships like paper. Captain Santos watched her fleet die around her, watched good ships full of brave people turn into expanding clouds of debris. Her own ship was hit 3 times. The 4th shot went straight through the hull. Her last thought was of her daughter. 4 hours later it was over. 200 human ships destroyed. The Council had lost only 17. Thexcal surveyed the wreckage with satisfaction. "Pathetic," he said. "Begin orbital bombardment. Target population centers. Make this quick." Council ships moved into position over Earth, their weapons charged, preparing to rain fire on the cities below. In New York and Tokyo, in Lagos and Mumbai, people looked up at the sky and saw death coming. Then Admiral Voss gave the order. "All ships decloak. Show them what we built." In the space around Earth, reality seemed to ripple. Shadows became solid. Darkness took shape. 147 ships materialized, appearing from nowhere, surrounding the Council fleet like wolves around prey. On the Council flagship, alarms screamed. Sensors went crazy trying to process what they were seeing. "Where did they come from?" Thexcal roared. "How are they hiding from our sensors?" His tactical officer stared at the screen in disbelief. "Sir, I don't know. They're using some kind of phase technology. They're partially out of normal space. Our sensors can barely detect them." Captain Torres opened a channel to the Council fleet. His voice was cold and hard. "Council Armada, you came here to kill us. Now you will learn why that was a mistake." The Battle of Earth began. Council ships tried to target the dark matter vessels, but their sensors could not lock on. The human ships flickered in and out of normal space, impossible to track. When Council weapons fired, they passed through the dark matter shields harmlessly, hitting nothing but vacuum. But human weapons worked perfectly. Dark matter torpedoes phased through Council shields like they did not exist. They materialized inside enemy hulls and detonated. Council ships exploded from within, torn apart by weapons they could not stop. Thexcal watched his fleet die with growing horror. Ships that had served for centuries, vessels that had enforced Council law across the galaxy, were being destroyed by humans, by primitives who were not supposed to have technology like this. "Retreat," he finally ordered, his pride shattered. "All ships retreat." But retreat was not easy. The human ships were faster, more maneuverable. They hunted the Council vessels through the orbital space, picking them off one by one. Thexcal's flagship was hit by 6 dark matter torpedoes. The great dreadnought that had destroyed worlds broke apart, spinning into Earth's atmosphere where it burned like a falling star. When it was over, 4,999 Council ships were destroyed. Only one survived, a small scout vessel that Voss had specifically ordered left alive. "Let them go," she commanded. "Let them carry the message back." The scout ship fled into faster-than-light travel, its crew terrified and broken. They would tell the Council what they had seen. They would speak of ships that could not be detected, of weapons that could not be stopped, of humans who had hidden their true power until the moment of truth. On Earth, 30 billion people emerged from their shelters. They looked up at the sky, now filled with the wreckage of the Council fleet, and they wept with relief. Their world had been saved, but they knew this was just the beginning. Admiral Voss stood on her command deck, feeling no triumph. She had just destroyed 5,000 ships, killed millions of Council soldiers. War had come to the galaxy, and humanity had fired the first real blow. "Send a message to the Council," she said quietly. "Tell them humanity is no longer asking for permission. Tell them we will be free, or they can try to stop us and fail. The choice is theirs." The message was sent across the galaxy at faster-than-light speed. Every Council world, every species under their rule would hear it within days. The old order that had stood for 50,000 years had just received a wound that might prove fatal. In her quarters, Dr. Okonkwo sat alone and cried. Her technology had just killed millions. She had created these weapons to protect humanity, but now she understood the terrible weight of her success. There was no going back now. The galaxy would never be the same. The Council citadel was in chaos. News of the Earth battle had reached every corner of the galaxy. 5,000 ships destroyed by a species that was supposed to be primitive and weak. High Arbiter Kelthrin stood before the assembled Council, his blue feathers ruffled with rage and fear. "This is impossible," shouted Councillor Vrix, his insectoid body trembling. "How did humans develop dark matter technology without our knowledge?" "They deceived us," Kelthrin said, his voice cold. "For decades they pretended to be obedient while building a secret fleet. This treachery cannot stand. If we allow humans to challenge our authority, every species in the galaxy will think they can do the same." War Marshal Drakthor stepped forward. He was massive, nearly 3 meters tall, from a warrior species that had conquered 40 worlds before joining the Council. His scarred face showed no emotion. "The Council has maintained order for 50,000 years through strength. We must respond with overwhelming force. Show the galaxy that challenging us means extinction." "How many ships do we have available?" Kelthrin asked. 15 regional fleets," Drakthor replied. "More than 50,000 warships. We mobilize them all. We strike every human colony simultaneously. We do not give them time to prepare or scatter." In the back of the chamber, some councillors shifted uncomfortably. The Yalaran delegate, a peaceful species of aquatic beings, raised a tentacle. "Is there no possibility of negotiation?" Perhaps we were too harsh. "These humans only want to be free." Kelthrin turned on the Yalaran with fury. "Free? They killed millions of our soldiers. They destroyed 5,000 ships. If we negotiate now, we show weakness. We show the galaxy that murder and rebellion are acceptable. No, humanity will be erased completely, not sterilized, destroyed, every man, woman, and child." The chamber fell silent. Total genocide was rare in Council history. Most species that resisted were simply reduced to manageable levels. But Kelthrin's pride had been wounded, and wounded pride in those with absolute power is the most dangerous thing in the universe. On Earth, Admiral Voss met with human leadership. The President, Prime Ministers, and military commanders from every nation gathered in the Mars Command Center. They watched the intelligence reports coming in. The Council was mobilizing everything. 50,000 ships, the Chinese premier said quietly. "We destroyed 5,000 and lost almost 90 of our dark matter vessels. Even with our technology, those numbers are impossible. They will hit all 12 of our colonies at once," added the African Federation commander. "We cannot defend everywhere." Voss stood and activated a holographic display. It showed human space, 12 colony systems scattered across 100 light-years. Then it showed Council space, hundreds of systems spanning thousands of light-years. "We cannot win a defensive war," Voss said. "We do not have the numbers. But we have something they do not expect. Mobility and weapons that can strike anywhere. What are you suggesting? The president asked. Dr. Okonkwo stepped forward. She looked tired, her eyes haunted. There is a weapon we developed but never tested. Dark matter torpedoes designed to destabilize stars. They can trigger a collapse, turn a normal sun into a supernova. The room went silent. Several leaders looked sick. You want to destroy entire solar systems? The Indian Prime Minister asked, horrified. I want to survive, Okonkwo replied. The Council is coming to kill every human alive. We can fight them ship by ship and lose, or we can hit them so hard they have no choice but to stop. How many people would die? The president asked quietly. Billions, Voss answered. The Council has 15 regional headquarters. Each one is on a heavily populated world. If we strike them all simultaneously, we kill their command structure and prove we can do to them what they want to do to us. We would be murderers, someone said. No better than them. We would be alive, Voss countered. I do not like this either. But they gave us no choice. They came to our home to kill us. War is not clean. War is not fair. War is survival. The debate lasted 6 hours. In the end, they voted. It was not unanimous. Some leaders refused to give approval, said they could not have that blood on their hands, but enough agreed. Operation Dark Sun was authorized. Captain Elena Reeves commanded one of humanity's fastest scout ships. She had been deep in Council space for weeks, mapping their military installations. Now she watched from a hidden position as the Council fleets assembled. 50,000 ships gathering at 15 different locations, preparing to jump to human space. She sent her final report to Admiral Voss. All targets confirmed. They launch in 48 hours. Understood, Voss replied. Get clear of the target zones. You have 36 hours. Humanity's dark matter fleet split into 15 strike groups. Each group had between 3 and 6 ships. Their mission was simple and terrible. Get past the Council defenses, deliver the dark matter torpedoes to each target star, and escape before the stars exploded. Captain Torres led the strike on Zenthar Prime, the capital world. It was the most heavily defended target, with thousands of defense platforms and hundreds of ships in orbit. His strike team consisted of 4 ships including the Defiant. They approached from deep space, their dark matter drives making them invisible. They slipped past patrol ships and sensor nets. Torres watched the planet below, a beautiful world with blue oceans and green continents. 3 billion people lived there. Most of them had never heard of Earth, had done nothing wrong except live under a government that demanded control. Target lock acquired, his weapons officer reported. We can launch torpedoes, Torres hesitated. His finger hovered over the authorization button. 3 billion lives. He thought of his own family on Earth, thought of the Council fleet coming to kill everyone he loved. He thought of what mercy had earned humanity so far. He pressed the button. 4 dark matter torpedoes launched from the Defiant and its sister ships. They phased through the planetary defenses without triggering a single alarm. They entered Zenthar Prime's sun and burrowed deep into its core. There they began disrupting the nuclear fusion that kept the star stable. Torpedoes away, Torres reported. Estimate 30 minutes until stellar collapse. His ships fled at maximum speed. Behind them, Zenthar Prime's sun began to flicker. Scientists on the planet detected the anomaly, but could not understand what was happening. The star was dying, its fusion reactions spiraling out of control. 29 minutes later, the sun exploded. The supernova wave expanded at a significant fraction of light speed. It struck Zenthar Prime and vaporized the entire planet in seconds. 3 billion lives ended before they even knew what was happening. The Council citadel orbiting nearby was torn apart by the stellar winds. The seat of galactic power for 50,000 years became dust and radiation. This scene repeated at 15 locations across Council space. 15 stars died. 15 worlds disappeared. 7 billion Council citizens were killed in a single day. The galaxy had never seen such destruction, such coordinated brutality. Admiral Voss sent a message that broadcast to every world, every ship, every species in known space. Her face appeared on screens across thousands of light years. People of the galaxy, she said, her voice steady but her eyes showing the weight she carried. I am Admiral Helena Voss of Earth. Today, humanity struck 15 Council worlds. We killed billions. We do not do this with joy. We do not do this with pride. We do this because the Council gave us no choice. They came to our world to exterminate us. They mobilized 50,000 ships to kill every human man, woman, and child. We have shown we can respond in kind. We have proven we can reach any world, any system, any star. The Council can continue this war, and we will continue to respond. Or they can stop. They can recognize that humanity will be free. They can accept that their age of absolute power is over. The choice is theirs. But they should know this: we will not go quietly. We will not surrender. And if they force us to destroy the entire galaxy to survive, we will do it. The message ended. The galaxy reeled in shock and horror. Some species called humans monsters. Others whispered that humans had done what they had been too afraid to do themselves. Many began to question whether the Council deserved their loyalty, if this was where that loyalty led. On what remained of the Council leadership, meeting now on a military station far from any star, High Arbiter Kelthrin watched the message. His feathers were gray with stress. Half the Council members were dead, killed when the Citadel exploded, but his pride would not bend. "We do not negotiate with terrorists," he said to the remaining councilors. "We gather our forces. We build more ships. We hunt these humans until every last one is dead. Even if it takes a century, even if it costs 1 trillion lives. We cannot allow this challenge to stand." War Marshal Drakthor nodded in agreement. They have shown themselves to be a plague. Plagues must be burned out. Councillor Vrix, who had survived because he was away from the Citadel, looked at them both. For the first time, he wondered if the Council's pride would destroy them all. But he said nothing. Fear still ruled him. The war would continue. Neither side could stop now. Too much blood had been spilled. Too much pride was at stake. The galaxy held its breath and waited to see which species would survive and which would become dust floating between the stars. 8 months had passed since the destruction of the 15 Council worlds. The galaxy was drowning in war. Every day brought news of another battle, another destroyed system, another billion lives lost. Both sides were exhausted, bleeding from wounds that would not heal. Admiral Helena Voss looked older now. Her gray hair had turned white and lines carved deep into her face. She stood in the Mars Command Center, staring at the holographic display that showed the state of the war. Red marked Council territory, blue marked human space, purple showed contested regions. The map was mostly red with small islands of blue, but those islands had cost the Council 43 worlds. "Status report," she said to her staff. "We have lost 89 of our original 147 dark matter ships," Captain Torres reported. He had survived 3 major battles and countless skirmishes. His hair was graying too, and his hands shook slightly when he thought no one was watching. "We are down to 58 operational vessels. We are running low on dark matter torpedoes. Production facilities in the Oort cloud have been working constantly, but we cannot replace ships as fast as we lose them." "And the Council?" Voss asked. "Their fleet strength is estimated at 20,000 ships remaining from their original 50,000 plus reinforcements," the intelligence officer said. "But their morale is collapsing. 37 species have withdrawn from the war. They are still officially Council members, but they refuse to send more ships or soldiers. The Council is having to conscript crews. Many are surrendering without a fight." Voss nodded slowly. Numbers did not tell the whole story. The Council still had more ships, more resources, more territory, but they were fighting to maintain control. Humanity was fighting to survive. Desperation gave humans an edge that the Council could not match. Ambassador Marcus Chen had not been idle during these months. He had remained on the Citadel until it was destroyed, barely escaping in an evacuation pod. Now he worked in secret, moving between neutral species, talking to moderate Council members who were horrified by the war. He met them in hidden locations, using encrypted channels, always careful. On a small trading station in neutral space, he sat across from Councillor Vrix. The insectoid had changed. His mandibles twitched nervously and his compound eyes showed something that might have been fear, or might have been doubt. "Why did you contact me?" Chen asked. "You were one of the ones pushing for our extinction." "I was a fool," Vrix said quietly. "I believed the Council was invincible. I believed humans were insignificant. I was wrong. This war is destroying the galaxy. 43 worlds dead, trillions homeless, the economy collapsing. Species that have lived in peace for thousands of years are starving because trade routes are gone." "Then help me end it," Chen said. "There are others who think like you. Moderate voices who see this madness for what it is, but Kelthrin will not listen. He would rather burn the galaxy than admit humans deserve freedom. Vrix was silent for a long moment. There is something you should know. Kelthrin has authorized the construction of a quantum cascade weapon. It is being built at a secret facility near the Citadel's ruins. This weapon can destroy a star from 10,000 light-years away. They plan to use it on Earth's sun. Chen felt cold. When? 3 weeks. Maybe 4. The weapon is nearly complete, Chen stood. Then we have no time. Can you gather the moderate counselors? Can you convince them to act? I can try, Vrix said. But Kelthrin has War Marshal Drakthor's full support. The military will not turn against them. Leave the military to us, Chen replied. You work on the politics. Get me a list of every counselor who wants this war to end. We will do the rest. Chen sent an encrypted message to Admiral Voss. The message was simple. They are building a superweapon. Target is Earth. We must strike the Citadel ruins now. Voss called an emergency meeting. Every human ship captain, every military commander, every political leader joined the conference. She explained the situation. The quantum cascade weapon could not be allowed to exist. It would make Earth defenseless, would give the Council the ability to destroy human worlds without ever coming close. We have 58 ships left, she said. The Citadel ruins are the most heavily defended location in Council space. Thousands of defense platforms, hundreds of ships on patrol. We will lose most of our fleet attempting this. But if we do not try, Earth dies. Then we try, Captain Torres said immediately. Others echoed his sentiment. They had come too far, lost too much to give up now. The operation was called Checkmate. Every remaining human dark matter ship would converge on one location. They would punch through the defenses, destroy the quantum cascade weapon, and capture or kill the Council leadership. It was desperate, perhaps suicidal, but it was the only move left. The human fleet gathered in deep space, 58 ships against an empire. Captain Torres stood on the bridge of the Defiant and looked at his crew. Some were original members from the Battle of Earth. Others were replacements, young people who had joined after their homes were destroyed. All of them knew this might be their last mission. We have fought for 8 months, Torres said to them. We have seen friends die. We have done things we never thought we would do. Today we fight one more time. Today we end this war. For Earth, for humanity, for every person who died believing we could be free. The fleet jumped to faster-than-light travel. They emerged at the Citadel ruins, where defense platforms immediately opened fire. The battle was brutal from the first second. Human ships phased in and out of normal space, but there were so many defenses that evasion was impossible. 5 ships were destroyed in the first minute. 8 more in the next 3 minutes. The Council defenders were ready this time, had learned from previous battles. They filled space with weapons fire, making it impossible to dodge. If you could not see the human ships, you shot everywhere until you hit something. But humans pressed forward. They sacrificed ships to create gaps in the defenses. The Defiant and 26 other vessels broke through the outer perimeter. Ahead lay the secret facility where the quantum cascade weapon was being completed. Torres led the assault. His ship took hit after hit, armor burning away, hull breaching in a dozen places. But he kept going. He had to reach the facility. Behind him, 19 more ships were destroyed, fighting through the inner defenses. 7 human ships reached the facility. Torres brought the Defiant alongside the station and ordered boarding parties to deploy. Human Marines in powered armor cut through the hull and stormed inside. They fought Council security forces in brutal close-quarters combat. Every meter was paid for in blood. Torres himself led a team to the facility's control center. They found High Arbiter Kelthrin there, surrounded by guards. The old bird-like being stood defiant even as human weapons pointed at him. You have lost, Torres said. Your weapon is captured. Your defenses are broken. Surrender and we can end this war. Kelthrin's eyes blazed with hate. Never. The Council does not surrender to primitives. You may kill me, but others will continue the fight. Humanity will be destroyed. If not today, then tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then in 100 years. But you will be destroyed. Torres felt tired. So very tired. Then you leave us no choice. He nodded to his Marines. They placed dark matter charges throughout the facility. The quantum cascade weapon was too dangerous to exist. It had to be destroyed, along with everyone who knew how to build it. Evacuate all human forces, Torres ordered. We are bringing this entire station down. His Marines moved through the facility, forcing Council personnel to evacuate. Not everyone made it. Some fought and died. Others were too deep in the structure to reach in time. But Torres's soldiers saved as many as they could. They were not monsters. They did not kill unnecessarily even after 8 months of horror. High Arbiter Kelthrin refused to leave. War Marshal Drakthor, who had been coordinating the defense, stayed with him. They stood in the control center as human forces withdrew. "We could have ended this peacefully," Torres said one final time. "We only wanted to be free." "Freedom is earned," Kelthrin replied. "Not given to those who break our laws." Torres turned and left. The charges detonated 3 minutes later. The facility exploded, taking the quantum cascade weapon with it. Kelthrin and Drakthor died in the blast, along with 300 Council personnel who had refused to evacuate. Of the 58 ships that attacked, only 27 survived. The Defiant was so badly damaged it could barely maintain life support, but they had won. The weapon was destroyed. The Council leadership was dead. Admiral Voss received Torres's report with mixed emotions. They had won the battle but lost 31 more ships. They were down to 27 vessels. 27 ships against an empire. But the Council's leadership was broken. Their superweapon gone, their will shattered. Ambassador Chen activated his network. He sent messages to every moderate councilor, to every species that wanted peace. "The war is over," he told them. "Kelthrin is dead. The old guard is gone. Now we can build something new." Councilor Vrick stepped forward as the senior surviving member of the council. He was afraid, uncertain, but he knew what had to be done. He broadcast a message across council space. "This war has cost too much," he said. "We have lost 50 worlds. Trillions are dead. Our economy is in ruins. And for what? To prove that we could force one species to obey. The council was supposed to be The message from Councilor Vrix reached Earth 3 days after the destruction of the quantum cascade weapon. Admiral Helena Voss sat in her command center, surrounded by her remaining officers, and listened to the council's offer of ceasefire. When it ended, the room was silent. "It could be a trap," Captain Torres said. His face was bandaged from burns he had received during the boarding action. "They lure us into negotiations while they rebuild their forces." "It could be," Voss agreed. "But we are down to 27 ships. We cannot win a war of attrition. If they truly want peace, we must consider it." Dr. Sarah Okonkwo spoke quietly from her seat in the corner. She had not left the command center in days. "How many have we killed? How many billions? I created the dark matter technology to protect humanity. Instead, I have turned us into the very thing we fought against." "No," Voss said firmly. "The council came to our home to exterminate us. Everything that happened after was their choice. We did what we had to do to survive. That does not make us monsters. That makes us survivors." But even as she said it, Voss felt the weight of every death on her shoulders. 58 worlds destroyed. Trillions dead. She would carry that burden for the rest of her life. Ambassador Marcus Chen was already in motion. He gathered representatives from the moderate council species, from the neutral powers, from the dozens of civilizations that had stayed out of the war but watched with horror. They met on a neutral station, far from any military forces. Chen stood before an assembly of 200 species. Some looked at him with hatred, others with respect, most with simple exhaustion. Everyone was tired of war. The council ruled the galaxy for 50,000 years, Chen said. They brought stability, but at the cost of freedom. They maintained peace, but only through fear. They decided which species could grow and which had to stay small. They chose who could have technology and who must remain primitive. That age is over. The old council is dead. Now we must decide what comes next. "Humans destroyed our worlds," shouted a delegate from one of the devastated systems. "You speak of freedom while you murder billions. You are worse than the council ever was." Chen did not look away. "You are right. We did terrible things. We killed billions of innocent people. I will not defend those actions. I will not pretend they were anything but monstrous. But the council gave us 2 choices. Surrender and be exterminated, or fight and become killers. We chose to live. If that makes us evil, then we are evil. But we are alive." Councilor Vrick stepped forward. The insectoid had become an unlikely voice of reason in the chaos. What humanity did was terrible. But what the council tried to do was worse. They tried to commit genocide. They mobilized 50,000 ships to kill every human. If humans had not fought back, 30 billion people would be dead, and we would all be here pretending it was necessary for galactic order. At least humans are honest about what they have done. The debate lasted for days. Some species wanted to continue the war, wanted to see humanity punished for their crimes. Others saw an opportunity to reshape the galaxy into something better. Still others just wanted the killing to stop. Chen presented humanity's terms. They were simple and radical. First, the council would be dissolved. No single body would ever again have absolute authority over the galaxy. Second, a new galactic union would be formed, with equal representation for all species. Each civilization would have one vote regardless of size or power. Third, all species would have the right to develop any technology they wished, without restriction or oversight. Fourth, no species could be invaded or attacked without a declaration of war approved by 2/3 of the Union. Fifth, humanity would share dark matter technology with any species that wanted it, for peaceful purposes only. And if we refuse, asked a council military commander, if we choose to continue fighting? Chen's face hardened. Then we continue destroying your worlds until there is nothing left. We have proven we can reach any system, any star. We have 27 ships left, but we only need one to kill a world. How many more are you willing to lose? It was not a negotiation. It was an ultimatum backed by the credible threat of mutual annihilation. But it was also an offer of something new, something that many species had wanted for thousands of years but were too afraid to ask for. The vote took place 3 weeks later. 200 species casting their decision: continue the war under the Council's remnants, or accept humanity's terms and build a new order. 147 species voted for the new Galactic Union. 38 voted to continue the war. 15 abstained. The war was over. The transition was not easy. The old Council military fractured. Some admirals accepted the new order. Others formed rogue fleets and had to be hunted down. Several species tried to fill the power vacuum left by the Council's collapse, leading to regional conflicts that the new Union had to mediate. But slowly, painfully, a new structure emerged. The Galactic Union established its headquarters on a neutral world, a station built in orbit where no species had advantage. Every civilization sent a delegate. Every delegate had one vote. It was messy and argumentative and slow, but it was democratic. Admiral Voss retired 6 months after the war ended. She was 57 years old and looked 70. She returned to Earth and found a small house by the ocean, far from cities and politics. She did not give interviews. She did not write a memoir. She just wanted to be forgotten. But the galaxy did not forget her. Some called her a hero who saved humanity. Others called her a war criminal who murdered billions. History would argue about her legacy for centuries. She did not care. She had done what was necessary. She had kept her species alive. That was enough. Captain James Torres received the Medal of Valor, the highest honor humanity could give. He accepted it at a ceremony on Earth, standing before thousands of people who cheered his name. Then he resigned his commission, went home to his small apartment, and cried for 3 days. He had survived when so many had not. The guilt would never leave him. Dr. Sarah Okonkwo continued her research, but now she focused on using dark matter technology for peaceful purposes. She developed engines that could cross the galaxy in days instead of months. She created power generators that could provide free energy to entire planets. She worked with scientists from dozens of species, sharing knowledge that had been kept secret for too long. But at night, she dreamed of burning worlds. She would carry that weight forever. Ambassador Marcus Chen became the first Secretary General of the Galactic Union. It was a title he had never wanted, a burden he could not refuse. He worked 18-hour days mediating disputes, negotiating treaties, slowly building trust between species that had hated each other for millennia. It was exhausting work. It was frustrating work, but it was better than war. 5 years after the war ended, a ceremony was held on Earth. Representatives from every member species of the Galactic Union attended. They gathered to dedicate a memorial for all those who had died in the conflict. The memorial was a simple wall of black stone, kilometers long, with names carved into its surface. Names of humans who had died defending Earth. Names of Council soldiers who had fought believing they were maintaining order. Names of civilians from 58 destroyed worlds who had done nothing wrong except exist in the wrong place. Chen stood before the wall and read from a prepared speech. We gather here to remember the cost of pride and fear. The Council refused to share power and humanity refused to surrender. In that stubbornness, trillions died. This memorial stands not to glorify what we did, but to remind us what we must never do again. Every name here represents a life, a person with dreams and family and hopes. They are gone because we chose war over understanding, power over cooperation. Let this be the last war the galaxy ever sees. Let this be the beginning of something better. The crowd was silent. Then one by one, delegates came forward and laid flowers at the memorial. Species that had been enemies stood side by side and mourned together. On a distant colony world, a young human girl looked up at the stars with her father. She was 8 years old and had been born during the war in an underground shelter while council ships bombed the surface above. "Papa," she asked, "why did the war happen?" Her father thought about how to explain. Because people were afraid. Because they thought they had to control everything to be safe. Because they forgot that freedom is more important than security. "Are we free now?" the girl asked. "Yes," her father said. "We are free. And that freedom cost more than you can imagine. Never forget that." She looked up at the stars, at the vast galaxy that was now open to humanity. Ships from Earth traveled freely to 1,000 worlds. Humans traded and worked and lived alongside hundreds of other species. The restrictions were gone. The fear was fading. The old council had ruled through force for 50,000 years. They had maintained order by keeping everyone weak, everyone afraid. Humanity had taught the galaxy a different lesson. They showed that those who demand submission will always fear those who refuse to kneel. They proved that freedom cannot be given, only taken. But they also learned that freedom has a price. 58 worlds,